The morning light washes over the District of Columbia, a benediction, turning the white marble monuments into beacons against the blue spring sky. From the heights of Arlington, across the Potomac, the city unfolds like an architect's dream, a carefully plotted map of power, memory, and aspiration laid out along the banks of a river that has witnessed the evolution of a nation. I am but a humble chronicler of this city's splendors, a narrator who has walked these wide avenues in all seasons. Today, our journey takes us to the heart of the Capitol, the National Mall, that grand swath of green stretching from the Capitol building to the Lincoln Memorial, and the magnificent Smithsonian Institution, whose museums house the nation's collected wisdom and wonders. From afar, it seems to float above the city, a great white dome crowned with the bronze statue of Freedom, her feathered headdress and shield gleaming in the morning light. The United States Capitol commands the eastern end of the National Mall, a temple to democracy, its classical architecture deliberately evoking the grandeur of ancient Rome, while announcing the birth of something entirely new in human governance. The People's House, some call it, though its scale and grandeur hardly suggest homey comfort. Rather, the Capitol stands as a colossus of democratic aspiration, its massive dome rising 288 feet into the air. Begun in 1793, when George Washington laid the cornerstone, the Capitol has grown alongside the nation it serves, expanding with new wings, surviving partial burning by British troops in 1814, and undergoing near-constant renovations as the needs of governance evolve. Beneath the dome, in the rotunda, the story of America unfolds through monumental paintings and sculptures. Beyond lie the chambers of the House of Representatives and the Senate, where the people's chosen representatives debate the issues of the day and craft the laws that govern the nation. As I step onto the mall proper, I feel the weight of history beneath my feet. This soil has absorbed the footsteps of millions of Civil War soldiers who camped here during the conflict that nearly destroyed the young nation. Suffragists who marched for women's right to vote. Civil rights activists who gathered to hear Martin Luther King Jr.'s dream of racial equality. And ordinary citizens who come daily to experience their nation's capital. Rising from the center of the National Mall, an exclamation point in stone, the Washington Monument stands as America's tribute to its first president and enduring symbol. At 555 feet, 5 1/8 inches tall, it was briefly the tallest structure in the world when completed in 1884, and it remains the world's tallest freestanding stone structure and tallest obelisk. The monument's simplicity belies the complexity of its creation. Construction began in 1848, but was interrupted by funding issues and the Civil War. Work resumed in 1879, but by then the marble from the original quarry was no longer available. If you look closely, you can see a slight change in color, about a third of the way up, a visible reminder of the nation's interrupted progress. From the base of the monument, looking west across the reflecting pool toward the Lincoln Memorial, I can see the physical embodiment of American democracy's journey, from its founding under Washington, to preservation under Lincoln, to the ongoing work of governance in the halls of Congress. As I continue westward, the path leads me to the Lincoln Memorial, standing majestically at the western terminus of the reflecting pool. The memorial's design deliberately evokes a Greek temple, its white Colorado marble gleaming in the afternoon light, suggesting something both ancient and timeless about Lincoln's place in American memory. Inside sits Daniel Chester French's monumental seated statue of the 16th president. The statue captures Lincoln in a moment of contemplative strength. His hands rest on the arms of a Roman-style chair, one closed in a fist symbolizing determination, the other open in a gesture of compassion. His face bears the weight of a nation divided, the deep-set eyes suggesting both melancholy and resolve. Flanking the central chamber are two side chambers containing inscriptions of Lincoln's two greatest speeches, the Gettysburg Address and the Second Inaugural Address. Together they distill the meaning of the Civil War and offer a plea for peace without malice. The Lincoln Memorial's significance extends beyond its commemoration of a president who preserved the Union. This site has become hallowed ground in America's ongoing struggle for civil rights and equal justice, the spot where Martin Luther King Jr. delivered his "I Have a Dream" speech in 1963, using the symbolic power of Lincoln's legacy to call America to fulfill its promise of equality. Turning north from the Lincoln Memorial, I follow a path toward a different kind of monument, one that marks not a triumph or a founding father, but a national trauma still raw in living memory. The Vietnam Veterans Memorial cuts into the earth like an open wound that has begun to heal but will forever leave a visible scar. To black granite walls, each nearly 247 feet long, meet at an angle and are engraved with the names of more than 58,000 Americans who died or remain missing from the Vietnam conflict. The memorial's creator, Maya Lin, was just 21 years old when her design was selected from 1,421 submissions in a national competition. The polished black granite surface serves as both a list of names and a reflective surface, subtly superimposing the visitor's own image over the names of the fallen, a design element that creates a visual connection between the living and the dead, between the present and the past. Visitors move slowly along the wall, many searching for specific names. Some make rubbings of these names, creating tangible mementos. Others leave offerings at the base: flowers, letters, photographs, dog tags that transform this national monument into a collection of individual memorials. Its eloquent simplicity, the Vietnam Veterans Memorial achieves what many more elaborate monuments cannot. It creates a space for genuine emotional connection with history, a place where the past is not merely observed but felt. Continuing eastward, I arrive at the National World War II Memorial, which occupies a central location at the eastern end of the reflecting pool. Dedicated in 2004, this memorial consists of a plaza surrounding a fountain, with two 43-foot arches representing the Atlantic and Pacific theaters of war and 56 granite pillars forming a semicircle around the plaza, representing the states and territories that comprised the United States during the war years. As I enter from the east, I pass a wall of 4,048 gold stars, each representing 100 Americans who died in the war, a visual representation of the more than 400,000 American lives lost. A simple inscription reads, "Here we mark the price of freedom." Bronze bas-relief panels depict scenes from both the home front and battlefront, telling the story of America's journey from peacetime to war and eventually to victory. They present a narrative of collective purpose and triumph over adversity that remains central to American national identity. As the sun descends, I turn south toward the tidal basin, a man-made reservoir that forms another focal point of Washington's monumental landscape. Here stand three memorials that expand the narrative of American democracy: the Jefferson Memorial, the Franklin Delano Roosevelt Memorial, and the Martin Luther King Jr. Memorial. The Jefferson Memorial, with its neoclassical design echoing the Pantheon in Rome, houses a 19-foot bronze statue of Jefferson. Around the interior walls, panels display excerpts from Jefferson's writings, including the Declaration of Independence with its revolutionary assertion that all men are created equal. Moving counterclockwise, the Franklin Delano Roosevelt Memorial unfolds as a sequence of 4 outdoor rooms, each representing one of Roosevelt's terms in office. Water is the unifying element, cascading over rough stone, flowing in sheets across smooth granite, collecting in still pools. Bronze sculptures depict scenes from the Roosevelt era, while quotations from his speeches position him as both a crisis leader and a visionary who expanded American conceptions of freedom. The Martin Luther King Jr. Memorial features the Stone of Hope, a 30-foot granite statue of King, emerging from what appears to be a mountain, a reference to a line from his "I Have a Dream" speech. Visitors enter by passing through the Mountain of Despair, symbolically experiencing the journey from struggle to hope that defined the civil rights movement. Standing midway along the mall's southern edge is a distinctive red sandstone building with Gothic spires and turrets, the Smithsonian Castle, which has served as the institution's symbolic headquarters since its completion in 1855. Designed by architect James Renwick Jr., the castle's medieval-inspired architecture stands in deliberate contrast to the classical government buildings that surround it, asserting the Smithsonian's independent role as a center for the advancement of knowledge. Inside, the castle houses an information center where visitors can orient themselves to the sprawling complex of museums that comprise the modern Smithsonian 19 museums in total, most clustered around the National Mall, plus the National Zoo, in Washington's Woodley Park neighborhood. East of the castle stands the National Museum of American History, a treasure house of American material culture where visitors can view artifacts ranging from the sublime to the everyday. The Star-Spangled Banner that inspired the national anthem, Abraham Lincoln's top hat, Dorothy's ruby slippers from The Wizard of Oz, Julia Child's kitchen, Muhammad Ali's boxing gloves. The first Apple computer. The museum presents American history as a single narrative, but as a complex tapestry of experiences political, technological, cultural, and social that have shaped the national character. Exhibits explore the contributions of diverse communities to American life, the evolution of American democracy, the nation's military history, and the transformative impact of innovation on everyday existence. Across the mall from the Museum of American History stands one of the Smithsonian's most popular attractions, the National Air and Space Museum. Here, suspended from ceilings and displayed on platforms, are the actual vehicles that carried humans into the sky and beyond. The Wright brothers' 1903 flyer, the Spirit of St. Louis in which Charles Lindbergh crossed the Atlantic, the Apollo 11 command module that took astronauts to the moon, and countless other aircraft and spacecraft that represent humanity's conquest of the air and exploration of space. The museum chronicles both the technological evolution of flight and its cultural impact, how aviation and space exploration have changed our understanding of our world and our place in the universe. Interactive exhibits allow visitors to experience the principles of flight, the challenges of space travel, and the view of Earth from above. Continuing eastward along the mall's north side brings me to the National Museum of Natural History. Its neoclassical facade, crowned by a green copper dome. Inside is a cornucopia of natural wonders, the Hope Diamond, sparkling in its rotational display case, massive dinosaur skeletons posed in dramatic attitudes, dioramas depicting ecosystems from Arctic tundra to tropical rainforest, and comprehensive exhibits on human origins and cultural adaptation. The museum serves as both a research institution and an educational resource, helping visitors understand the diversity of life on Earth, the processes that have shaped our planet over billions of years, and the complex relationships between human societies and the natural world. As twilight falls over Washington, the monuments and museums of the National Mall take on a different character. Floodlights illuminate the marble facades, creating dramatic contrasts of light and shadow. The reflecting pool mirrors these illuminated structures, doubling their impact against the darkening sky. This landscape of memory and knowledge, this physical embodiment of American ideals, aspirations, and contradictions, continues to evolve. New memorials will join the old as future generations decide which aspects of their history deserve commemoration in this national space. New exhibitions will open in the Smithsonian Museums as scholars and curators find fresh ways to interpret the American experience. The National Mall and its institutions serve not merely as tourist attractions, but as a living cultural commons, a space where Americans come to reflect on their shared past, debate their present challenges, and imagine their collective future. In stone and bronze, in preserved artifacts and curated exhibitions, Washington offers a material expression of the ongoing American experiment in self-government and cultural identity, a narrative continually being written, revised, and reinterpreted as the nation itself evolves.